Hi, today I want to talk about the social self, the social cues of the self, and how there's this interface between anger and boundaries that gives us the establishment of who we are. And I have a few practices or ideas that I'll share. So, first of all, I'm going to speak a little bit from something in the year 132 to 135. There was a leader of the Jewish revolt. He was actually called a Messiah by Rabbi Akiva, and there's said to be a Messiah in every generation. Now, what happened with him? He was a Nasi, which is called a prince. He cared about the rules of Torah, like he did Meiser, which is tithing, 10% to 20% of your earnings. He kept the holidays. He honored what was sacred. He honored the sacredness of the currency with tithing. Sabbath, which is the seventh of your week, you give to the Creator, right? One day just to be supported and to be surrendered. And then holidays, which is holy days. And he supplied food for everybody, made sure. He settled land ownership. He cared about justice. He said, God, we don't need you to do miracles for us. Do not assist us with miracles. Just don't embarrass us. Like, we're going to do our best. We're going to do what we feel is right. We're going to do the right thing. And he was, for those 2.5 years, almost 3 years, he revolted against the Romans ruled by King Hadrian. And it says, there's this like folklore tale that to be part of his troops, and he really wanted everyone to be. He would punish people who didn't join it. He said, "We're revolting. We're fighting for our Judaism. We're fighting for all of life, for humanity. There's cruelty. There's dictatorship. There's terrorism. There's cultural persecution. We need to fight back." So his soldiers, they either got initiated by cutting their finger, which to release some blood. Or they uprooted a cedar. We can't even imagine how these things happen, right? How to uproot a cedar. And there is some sayings that because there were some Christians who said Jesus is the Messiah, he would push them away. He wanted them to be away. If they stayed around, he would punish them. It said he was cruel to them because he said that's not truth. That's darkness. And he said you could deny it, So, anyway, what happened to him? He's portrayed as very irrational, very passionate. He was a warrior, right? And his name is Shimon ben Kosiba. It's not clear. Kosev could mean writing. Kosiba could be the city, the village that he came from. But also, Kosiba could be son of the Shimon ben Kosiba would be the lie. He was truth from a lie. Like the truth of the lie came out, something like that. So he was also called Bar Kochba, which means of the star, son of the star. And this is related to the prophecy from Bilam. He tried to curse the Jews, and he only was able to bless them. He said God speaks through him. He can only say what God says, and he cannot say anything else that God doesn't say. And he was hired by a very powerful king, but he said a star is going to come from Davidic lineage, and people thought it was Bar Kochba. Now, what happened to him? If he was portrayed as irrational and just really his conduct was very extreme, so it's said that this is what happened. He became paranoid that his uncle was collaborating with the enemy, with the Romans, and he had to decide, my uncle or everyone else. And he killed his uncle. However, in his anger, that was his downfall. Eventually, he was in a place called Beitar, and that's where he fell. That's where they got him. Now they said, who got him? Who actually killed him? Because when they found him, he was dead, or they killed him. But he had a snake around his neck. The King Hadrian said, "Cut off his head, bring it to me." There was a serpent wrapped around his neck. So, this is a lot. Now he said he had to use he said we got to spit fire. We got to be able to be fire in this world. And he would do things like, they said he lit a blade of straw and then would puff it so he could breathe smoke, And we think about people who smoke weed, smoke cigarettes. There's this idea of the fire, right? Like wanting to be connected to the fire. So, I mean, how do we prevent ourselves from, how do we like reestablish relationships? What can we learn from this? There's three things here. Our actions expressing our boundaries, social cues, which I'm going to take into real life. This is a great story to learn from, but how do we make this real? So I went in therapy and I talked about what comes up for me very bravely. So I'm going to start first with how do we reestablish relationships? Let's say the ones that trigger us the most, that we want to kill them like he did, is our family, our close friends, right? They're not on our agenda. They're not listening to what we think is right. So these are some ways in which I've been disconnected from people, felt angry, felt hurt, for safety space, whatever it is. And so some ways that I see with myself is, one is I offer a peace offering. I give a chance for it to be peace. I offer something to show that I'm open. Sometimes I reach out like nothing happened. I feel as if it's time to be more unconditionally loving. Like maybe I didn't see it right. Maybe they were hurt people, right? Sometimes I share new parts of myself or connect with new parts of the other. That's really to see with fresh eyes. That's to be more real, more brave. It's like I'm ready to be who I am and who you are, and we're all part of the process, and we're on the journey. Sometimes I show up to provide the opportunity for them to choose. What does your will tell you? Do you want to be close? Do you want to choose peace? And finally, I talk about what happens sometimes after space, even if it's extreme, and I choose to tell the truth for the sake of the long term, for the collective. Like, this is what's real. This is how it feels to be on this other side, in case you didn't know. And even if it shows that I was immature, or I am immature, or I had limits, or I have limits, or I'm, under development. And so one area where I'm really under development is expressing my boundaries through my actions. So some ways in which I practice, and by no means am I perfect, but I practice, is staying silent even when I want to automatically respond or react to a story I'm experiencing. I use this word story because most of the information that's coming in is being processed by not exactly the one who's present, right? Sometimes I walk away if it feels abusive, violating, disrespectful, or disempowering. Even if it's a story, I walk away because it's time. One difficult way I'm learning is to not avoid asking for help or support. Another is to not look outside, to do it for myself. Like, things need to get done and I want someone to help me. Sometimes I just need to help myself, just get it done. And that changes everything. I feel more secure, more confident, more capable. A hard one for me is when I start feeling overwhelmed or stressed, I have to take a pause. I have to challenge the hypersensitivities or the triggers and their sense of absoluteness, and instead of blaming anyone else. And finally, I have to sometimes sacrifice my needs. Sometimes I have to not sacrifice my needs for someone else because they're not appreciating my time or my energy or even accepting my limits, my preferences, right? I'm like accommodating them, but I'm not being accommodated. And they have social responsibility too. And I'm going to move into the next one in a second, but I'll say this is about offerings. This is about communication. This is about sharings. Both people are responsible. So in terms of expressing through my actions is not tolerating somebody who makes me feel like I don't matter or my side isn't as worthy. So I talked about this with my therapist, and we called it social responsibility. And we said, and a lot of her guidance and what triggered it, what it yielded in me and my sharings. And so first of all, it's two-way. Both have to give the other a positive experience and respect the interest. Like, I might be talking with somebody and you might not be interested in yoga art that I like, and I might not be interested in like sports and cars that you like. And that has to be okay. You can't force me to be who you want me to be, and I can't force you to be me. And then social cues means, like, I have thoughts, like negative thoughts in my head, the person's not really enjoying my company. Meanwhile, they're telling me they want to hang out, texting me, trying to be with me. And I take it very personally. So it's like, even if someone wasn't trying on purpose to hurt me, I still might develop issues around adequacy or worth because they or I both have low self-esteem. So it isn't even about their having fun or not. It's about me worrying I'm not good enough. So a good way to challenge that is to actually say, I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. I might say the wrong thing. I might talk too much. I might talk too little. I might take something too serious or too lightly. And that's normal social growth. Everyone has negative thoughts and emotions about themselves sometimes. And we have to learn to challenge these perceptions, to not take it personally. And so I have to come with the sense that I'm good energy. I'm good enough. And I have a right to these emotions. My emotions even include anger if somebody's disrespecting my boundaries, or my time is worth less than theirs. They want it always to be their way, or my energy is worth less, right? And so some ways in which I could stop going so far to the other side where I don't matter, or, you know, I'm not even worried if I'm having a good time, if I'm having fun, if, you know, and I think I have to listen and accommodate and be nice, you know, is like, are they having fun? Am I having fun? Are they having a good time? Am I having a good time? Do they want to listen or be nice or accommodate? Do I? And taking a pause and a step back. That's kind of this theme here, right? And then what information shows that they desire to be around me? So I have a hard time with the phone because I get ignored on the cell phone. People don't answer. It's not a good indicator, though, of my value or my significance, because I also ignore a lot on the phone, and I actually resent people when I have to answer them too much. So leaning on the phone often is because of isolating, because I'm not sure if someone else is going to have a good time with me. So when I'm really like able to be myself and trust that everyone can express their boundaries through their actions, they're going to show me that they're not having a good time. They might walk away, they might tell me, but if they're laughing, smiling, want to hang out with me, tell me to stay, that's the cues that they're having a good time and that I don't need to be worrying so much. So now I'm going to get to the final part, and this is suggestions from my therapist. So what happens when we have subtle anger? Not the anger of walking away, not the anger of screaming, not the anger of fighting, not the anger of even violence, but it is practicing yelling into a pillow, these subtle forms. You want to yell, you want to get the energy out, yell into a pillow so that we don't make harmful decisions, so that we don't have to live with our mistakes, consequences. Some people go to jail for the rest of their life because of 1 minute of anger. So writing a letter I'm not going to send, you know, punching a pillow, saying it out loud, even what I'm not going to tell the person with myself, right? Squeezing a stress ball, silly putty, something, even a ball of socks. And finally, throwing something soft against the wall over and over, like flinging it. Now, not necessarily do we always have access to a kickboxing class, but that could be something good too. So stuff where you could like punch something, kick something, we have to get out the anger. And then we can have that established self that knows that I'm good. And even if we're not angry people, we have a right to feel anger. Doesn't mean the anger itself is the anger that is angry at people. It's the anger of, oh, I didn't get my way in it. It's frustrating me and it's upsetting me. And we learn tools. Some people learn tools from when they're 2 years old. Some people when they're, 32 years old. But we do learn tools. We learn tools how to handle this. And then we don't need to worry so much about always reestablishing the relationship or having to express boundaries with strong action, or our downfall being that we lost our temper. And yeah, so this is my offering of social cues of the self, and how to trust our emotions, they're messengers, and how to interface the boundaries and the anger for the sake of feeling established and being established. Wish you well. It's the Sabbath tonight, so I'm not going to be making a video. Hopefully, God willing, I'll make one on Sunday. Bye-bye.